Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Morning Coffee with Lisa. I'm spiritual coach Lisa Hopp. It is Sunday, September 22nd. Thank you so much for joining me. Please be sure to go to my website, lisahopp.com. That's lisahopp.com for all my services, special events, online sessions that you can order if you're not in my area. So please go and find out all about me and the work that I do. I'm also now on YouTube under the YouTube channel Lisa Hopp. I have been posting a lot there recently, most of it about the angels and what the angels have to say to all of us at this time. So please go, please subscribe, please share, please like. Build a following here because it's an important time in our lives, in our world, in our universe, and we want to spread the light around as much as we possibly can. So speaking of that, I'm going to go right into my topic this morning, which is an official announcement. God has sent the helpers. They're here. For every day when you turn on the news and you see about the scandals and the weather and the tragedies regarding children, God has sent the helpers. It was most especially there yesterday and Friday as we saw our young children on the climate strike. They know how important it is to save our planet. They're well advised. They're well informed. So a special shout out to Greta Thunberg for the work that she has done and for the work she will be doing. She is one voice that managed to organize millions. And that's a very special accomplishment. I don't even know where she started, but you can tell when you look in her eyes that she was a special helper sent. She has a special look about her, almost as if she's an incarnated angel in some way. But you don't have to have a special look in your eyes or even be an angel incarnated to do special work in this world and to be a helper. When you feel called, heaven is also asking you to be a helper. I've been talking about this a lot lately on my YouTube channel. Pretty much it's been the topic of everything I talked about over the last couple of days. The importance of answering the call. The importance of being a part of the turn in this world that leads us from the three-dimensional energy that we've been living in, which is very material, very egotistical, very material-based, and evolving into a time of five-dimensional energy, or you've probably heard me call it heaven coming to earth, where it is love, peace, understanding, harmony, and health. And we are arriving to that place. At times it seems very subtle, and at other times, like on Friday, with the climate strike, it was overt. And heaven has not left us alone to evolve into this time of heaven coming to earth. They haven't said to us, though we do have the gift of free will, this loving energy of heaven has not said to us, you're on your own. Go on, get it done. I'm going to desert you until it's over. Oh, absolutely not. While we do have that gift of free will, God has always sent us little helpers to get us going, to move us along. Jesus was one of those helpers. And a lot of you understand that now. He came to teach us what heaven was really like. So one time I said, got a bit of an email about it, but one time I said that Jesus came, well, one of the reasons Jesus came, perhaps the primary reason Jesus came, was to teach us the New Testament and how heaven and God really was and how we are really supposed to be to each other, and to eradicate the falsehoods of the stories of the Old Testament. Because you noticed, if you have read the Bible, for those of you who have, for those of you who are Christian and have, that they're very different. One doesn't let you eat shrimp, and one says you should stone someone for sinning, and the other side preaches love and understanding and mercy. Well, a particular person thought I had gotten that wrong, but I would tell you why, while I am not perfect and why I'm not perhaps all-knowing, and I say that because I am not of ego, I am humble. I know what I know. And I knew what I was saying then, and I know what I'm saying now. So Jesus was probably the biggest helper. But there have been others. Most of them have sacrificed themselves just as he did, to help move us along, but not all have to. I don't know about you, but I have a bit, I think it's from my history, overall, in creation. I do have a fear of persecution. But it hasn't stopped me from using my voice at times when I know it's important to help, to say the appropriate thing, the right thing, the truthful thing. Not everyone who is a helper needs to sacrifice the ultimate sacrifice. A whisper is fine. So if you feel called, please do stand up. Please do use your voice. Now, you don't have to be an advocate that marches. You can be someone who works for the homeless. You can be someone who delivers food. You can be someone who is holy, who lives from higher consciousness. It's wherever you are drawn to be. It's whomever you wish to be. That's the calling. There are too many still. And maybe I notice them more because I'm not there in that mindset. But there are still many that will sit watching television or sit in a job they deplore and will complain about the world and other people. They're getting more than me. I wish to be negative. I even know someone who just loves to call themselves names all the time. That is, my goodness, that's definitely 3D energy. It might be 2. But all of us are ascending into 5D. It's just we have to go at our own speed. So I want to encourage you, if you are one of those people that sometimes finds yourself sitting on your couch and complaining about the ways of the world or about your life or about a coworker or about a family member, put it aside on a proverbial shelf and live as a helper. Because if you do that, you will see that your world will change, and it will change for the better. Because eventually we'll all be called to it. So you might as well do it sooner rather than later. I arrived here knowing I was here to be a helper. I didn't know when I was a very young child what that meant. I didn't know what to call it. I knew I was called. I wanted to be a priest. I wanted to be a missionary at some point when I couldn't be a priest. I wanted, I never really wanted to be a nun. I did play at being a teacher. So I figured out when I got older that I remembered when I was very, very young, maybe around 3, saying to the source outside my window, I know I'm here to be a spiritual teacher, but I don't know what to do. So I kept that locked in my brain, spiritual teacher, and explained why I wanted to be a priest and explained why I played at being a teacher. But I didn't really, I would play at being an English teacher. I would play at being a math teacher. I usually was an elementary school teacher when I would play as a child. But as I got older, I didn't really have the fire so much for that. I was called to spiritual. And I was called also to be more loving. And so I had to figure out, well, how do you be a spiritual teacher in a world where you're going to have blocks with that because of being a certain way, whether it be a female or an educational background or whatever it may be. Now, there wasn't a stopping stone. An obstacle. I just had to figure it out. So it was thankfully through heaven showing me and leading me to the right helpers that I came to the understanding that I was a spiritual teacher who was also a bit of a counselor, and that I was especially meant to help all of my fellow man, if they want, to understand that they are true children of God and to live their truest, largest selves. Do you know that heaven sees you as perfect? We're not given that understanding. We're given the understanding here that we're all sinners. And oh yeah, we mess up. We all mess up. I am not by any means perfect. And sometimes the more perfect I am, the more people will try to hurt me. And I didn't mean that, by the way, with a chip on my shoulder or anything, just to let you know. I think sometimes I know a lot of you understand this, the more kinder you are, the more giving you are, the more loving you are, the more people tend to want to either be cruel to that or to take advantage of it. So you have to watch your bubble, who you have around you and who you allow around you, and if necessary, keep the bubble small. You can still help mankind, but keep your intimate bubble small. And so, as I said, I knew that I was here to be a spiritual teacher, and I was drawn to be a bit of a counselor. And through years of reflection and seeing where I was called, because I wasn't called to take classes as a psychotherapist. I went to do that, and I went, no, that's not it. So I would pick up things and put it down and say, that's not it, and pick up things and say, this is it. And it's been a wonderful journey of evolution of how may I serve, how may I serve, how may I serve. And I've gotten that answer either very outwardly in a voice or through connections coming to me and synchronicities that have shown me the way. And I want to emphasize, I am not special. You guys, all of you listening to this broadcast, are just as loved, just as special, just as revered, just as adored. All you have to do is ask, how may I serve? And also ask for help, always. I asked for help yesterday again. because I need help right now. I need help. I don't mind saying that. And so I went to my angels. And because I go to my angels because I feel like they are the number one source. They're the most powerful source to go to. Now, that doesn't mean that they're the action takers. Yes, I do talk to God. Yes, I do. Vary my prayers. This was a request for action. So when I have a request for action or a request for wisdom, sometimes I will go to my angels. Because I want to also emphasize that heaven listens as one. So you cannot request wrong. You cannot pray wrong. Okay? So if you go to a departed loving grandmother, you're not doing it wrong. Okay? If you're praying just to God, you're not doing it wrong. They send to help you more of what will get the job done. Okay? If you pray to Blessed Mother Mary and it's a job for Jesus, you get Jesus, and vice versa. And so they don't think about it. They're not ego-based. Okay? We're taught that, aren't we? That we have this angry God sometimes. It's waiting to judge us, has like this heavenly clipboard that's checking off when we did good and when we didn't do good. Oh, by the way, yes, you do get a review. But it's a review. It's not judgment the way we're taught. It's not to say, by the way, that you shouldn't live your life in the highest way, because there is karma. There are consequences to actions. And my friends, they bite. They can bite. And so you don't want to get bitten. You don't want to be sad when you go to heaven about who you were, or grief who you were, or be, you want to have a good review. And that energy wants us to help each other, wants us to serve. And so I realized my way of service. It was not only to help people be their highest, fullest, most powerful selves, but also to help all of you feel more connected to heaven, because it wants us to feel connected to it. God wants us to know that we can link up, that we are worthy of a connection. When I was a child, I was taught, as a lot of you were, that I had to have an intermediary between me and heaven. I had to go into a little box, and I had to confess my sins to a pastor, father, who was the intermediary that would listen, that was playing the role of Christ. And I have to say, when I would go, and at times in my life quite frequently, one time I was gone so much that I thought he was going to give me community service. I actually think he did a little. But it was good for me in a healthful way, because I got to unload. So if you I'm not saying you shouldn't go to a pastor or a priest to talk about yourself, your life, your what you perceive as your quote sins, your drawbacks. I'm saying that it's not necessary. You are good enough. You are valued enough. You are loved enough to go straight to the source. But if it helps you, of course, always go. It helped me when I was younger. I would feel lighter when I would leave. But then I came to the understanding that it was okay. I would say the whole time I was talking to heaven. It's just that I didn't have enough understanding and self-love and no, I want to say self-love. I'm going to stick with that. I didn't have that enough to understand that it was all right if I didn't go into the little box. And so you are good enough. You are loved. You are valued. I have been in that energy. So I speak from that place of knowing. I have experienced it and all its love and all its indescribable acceptance and adoration. And the only way I can explain it is to say they look at you as if you are the greatest thing ever created, and they love all of us. They even love the worst of us. It's purely unconditional. And so, remember karma. Remember, serve the fellow man. Be the helper. Because the greater the vibration you live in, with what you put out, you get back, the greater your life will be, and both here and on the other side of the veil, heaven. And it is, that's really what all of us want, is to have that highest vibration, the harmonious life, the manifestation of what we desire. All of that, it's attainable if you live from a code of good. So back to the helpers. I turned on the news this morning while I was drinking my morning coffee, and they always start off with the tragedies, the fires, the scandals, the sadness, because that's what brings the ratings. And then as they go along the broadcast, they might start to tell you about other things going on, such as marches. And every once in a while, a news broadcast will say, now we're going to give you some good news. They even make it a segment sometimes where they tell you something good. But most of the news is about ratings and about scaring you and about promoting fear. So I want you to make it your job to see the good stories, to find them, to see the helpers, because we have not been left alone. We're being helped at every minute of every day. Now back to the climate strike. You're not going to like this, but we are in desperate times with our environment. And we all of us are being called to turn it around. Now, somewhat of it is natural and would have happened anyway, but not all of it. Not all of it. And the young understand this. The young have an appreciation for Mother Gaia, the earth, as a living source. They understand that we have to take care of it, much in the same way we would take care of an aging parent or a small child. We have to give it love. So as time goes on, you will all feel much more pressure to give up plastics, and to go with other eco-friendly ways of living. It's back to basics time. It's back to living pure. And that will be annoying. And people will make a big deal. They made a big deal when California wanted to give up plastic straws. Oh my goodness. And I understand that for some will be an adjustment, and some have very good reason for when they protest change. However, we're coming into the way of the world where we understand that it's time to stop mistreating Mother Earth. It's time to treat it as the living, breathing source it is. And the children that striked Friday and moved their advocacy into the weekend, they know. I have a very young family member who is very much understands about planet Earth and does what she knows is best and is very strong-minded about it. The young know it's time to save the earth. And these young people that know it were sent here because heaven will always send helpers to save us. Always. In every way. We're never ever alone for one moment. But like a child who has to be sometimes managed by an adult or a team, heaven will allow us to do our thing, but will always be there to make sure that we don't kill ourselves off completely. It's a matter of time where you will also receive the call to do more, not just about Earth, but about your health, about capitalism. It will be annoying at times. Other times it will be scary because change is good, but always scary. It is no coincidence that there are helpers right now talking about plant-based cures to disease. It is no coincidence that CBD oil is out, that hemp is now back. It's no coincidence. Heaven has whispered at us, and it sometimes shouted at us through our whole lives. When we have screamed out for an answer, it's always been given. We just don't always hear it, or don't always like it, so we don't wish to hear it. And that doesn't mean, by the way, in case that was a trigger, that you've been doing something wrong, or that someone who passes from cancer did something wrong. All I'm saying is that when you ask for an answer, you get it. Whether your free will wants to take advantage of it or not. And so, in every situation, look for the helpers. They might be the annoying ones, but look for the helpers. They're not overreacting. They're not extreme. But they are progressive. Because progressive moves us forward. So take a listen. See where you are, and see how you also can be a helper. And wherever you are, it's all right. But eventually we're going to need you. So see what you can do to move yourself along from the 3D energy to the 5D energy. I promise you it'll be all right. I also can say that your standards of life will probably increase. Another last thing I want to say. While you're looking for the helpers, try to disengage from any dramas. This is such an important time. Give yourself a break from the news. Give yourself a break from pettiness. I saw a wonderful sign yesterday. I'm not going to remember it entirely, but it said something to the effect that the children had become our leaders and the leaders had become our children. Don't let what's happening politically bother you in an unhealthful, sad, depression kind of way. Just do your part to be a helper. Taking care of yourself first, and then reaching out to others, and everything will be all right. I'm going to leave it there, because I have a big day ahead for my Sunday. I wish all of you, no matter where you are, a good day. For those in the Houston area, I'm sending you hope, thoughts, healing regarding your flooding. For those of you in the path of the storms that are the product of our global climate, I hope for you safety. And I hope for all of you a wonderful week ahead. A week of prosperity, peace, love, health. And remember to go to my website, lisahop.com, and to also find me on YouTube at Lisa Hop, where you hear from the angels there about any topic they want to talk about. So if you have a topic in mind, please feel free to email me at serenityharbor@verizon.net. Thank you once again for joining me. Have a blessed day. And remember, all of you are loved. Thank you.